Ever walked into a room and felt something was off before anyone said a word? That's not magic. That's not coincidence. That's your brain decoding unspoken language faster than you realize. And here's the truth. Every single person you meet is telling you exactly what they're thinking. Not with their words, but with their body, their tone, their eyes. Today, I'm going to show you how to tap into that power. No gimmicks, no fake psychic tricks. Just pure science-backed, Oprah-approved ways to read people like an open book. You ever notice how some people just seem to know when someone's lying? They don't even hesitate. They don't second guess. They just know. It's not magic. It's not a lucky guess. It's because they've trained themselves to see what most people ignore, something you can start doing today. And it begins with the eyes. Because no matter how hard someone tries to fake a smile, force a laugh, or say the right words, the eyes don't lie. They can't. It's like the brain forgets to cover them up while it's busy crafting a story. The eyes will always betray what's really happening inside. And if you know what to look for, you can read people in seconds. Think about the last time you asked someone a simple question. Maybe, did you take care of that? Or did you tell them and there was just a pause, a hesitation, a flicker in their expression that most people would brush off as nothing? But you felt it, didn't you? Like something didn't quite line up. That was your intuition catching a contradiction between their words and their body language. And the biggest giveaway, their eye movement. Here's where it gets fascinating. When someone remembers something real, something they actually saw, heard, or experienced, they instinctively look up to their left. Why? Because the brain is wired to pull real memories from the left side. But when they're making something up, even a little bit, their eyes shift to the right. It's subtle, but it's there. And once you know this trick, you'll start catching it everywhere. It's wild how accurate this is. You can test it yourself right now. Think of the last place you went for dinner, visualize it. See the restaurant, the table, what you ordered, notice where your eyes move. They likely went to the left because you're recalling something real. Now, imagine a purple elephant wearing sunglasses walking into that restaurant and ordering a burger. Try to picture that. Where did your eyes go? Probably to the right. Because you had to create that image, not recall it. This works in everyday conversations too. Ask someone a question that forces them to remember a detail, like, what was the last thing you watched on TV? And observe. Then ask something more complex, like, what would you do if you won $1 million right now? You'll start noticing the eye shifts immediately. Left for real, right for made up. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. But let's go deeper, because it's not just about spotting lies, it's about understanding how someone thinks. When someone looks straight ahead while talking, they're deep in thought, running through ideas in real time. If they glance down, especially to their right, they're tapping into emotions. Sometimes guilt, sometimes deep reflection. And if they dart their eyes all over the place, that's nervous energy, a sign they're overwhelmed or unsure. Now, I'm not saying to judge every single eye movement as truth or deception. Context matters. But what I am saying is that once you train yourself to pay attention, you'll notice patterns. You'll know when someone's words and body language don't match. You'll sense when someone is nervous, when they're confident, when they're trying to cover something up. And that gives you an advantage most people don't even know exists. The beauty of this, it's not something you have to learn, it's something you already know. Your brain has been picking up these signals since childhood, you just haven't been consciously processing them. But once you do, conversations become crystal clear. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop falling for fake smiles, empty promises, and scripted answers. You start seeing people exactly as they are, not just as they want to be seen. And let's be real. This isn't just about catching someone in a lie. It's about connection. Because when you truly understand how people think, you respond differently. You ask better questions. You notice when someone's struggling but pretending they're fine. You pick up on the moments when someone wants to say something but doesn't know how. And that changes everything. When you really start paying attention to the people around you, you'll begin to notice something that most people completely miss. It's this tiny, almost imperceptible flicker on their face. It's quick, like a flash of lightning, but it says more than 1,000 words ever could. I'm talking about micro-expressions. You know those moments when someone says they're fine, but their face betrays them for a split second. Maybe their smile fades, their brow tightens, or their eyes flicker with discomfort. That's what I'm talking about. Micro-expressions are brief facial movements that happen before a person can hide what they're feeling. They're like a mirror to the soul, revealing raw, unfiltered emotions that our brains don't have time to cover up. And here's the kicker. Those little moments are the truth, the real, unpolished version of what's happening in their head. The power of micro-expressions is that they happen so fast, most people never notice them. They're there and gone in a flash, but if you train your eyes to spot them, you'll see a whole new side of the people around you. It's like unlocking a secret level of communication. Imagine you're in a conversation with someone, and they're telling you about their day, but something feels off. Maybe they say everything's fine, but for a split second, their mouth twitches or their eyebrows raise just slightly. That little twitch, that's their brain giving you the truth before their words have a chance to lie. We all experience emotions in a heartbeat, but those emotions aren't always obvious. We're trained to keep our feelings in check, to present a calm exterior. But our faces can't lie, no matter how hard we try to control them. That's why micro-expressions are such powerful tools for reading people. The emotions that we try to bury, fear, sadness, anger, even excitement, sometimes flash across our faces in the blink of an eye. And here's the best part. Those micro-expressions are universal. Whether someone is from a different country, a different culture, or has a different life experience, their face will still show the same fundamental emotions in the same way. You don't need to speak the same language. You don't need to have the same background. You just need to know what to look for. And once you start noticing those little shifts in expression, you start to understand the deeper layers of the conversation. It's wild when you think about it. You could be sitting in a meeting and someone might say all the right things, smile in all the right places, but you catch a brief moment of tension in their face, a flash of unease, a second of uncertainty. You know that something's not right, even though they haven't said a word. And it's not about judging them, it's about seeing them for who they really are. The truth is, we all want to be understood. So often we're afraid to be vulnerable. We're afraid that if we show what we're really feeling, others will see us as weak or insecure. But when you start to notice these micro-expressions, you're not just seeing the truth about what someone is feeling. You're also tapping into a deeper level of empathy. You can meet them where they are emotionally, even if they haven't found the words to express it themselves. And let's talk about how this translates into real-world success. When you pick up on these subtle clues, you start building a connection that's deeper than words. You show people that you get them, that you understand them without needing them to spell it out. You start to build trust in a way that feels natural, almost effortless. People appreciate being seen, truly seen, especially when they don't have to try so hard to hide what they're feeling. This skill doesn't just help you in business or professional settings either. It helps you in your personal life too. Imagine being able to walk into a room and know instantly who's feeling overwhelmed, who's excited, who's pretending everything is okay when it really isn't. When you can read these signals, you become a better listener, a better friend, a better partner. You become someone who understands not just the words people say, but the emotions they're trying to communicate beneath them. And let me tell you, that's a rare and powerful gift. So when you start paying attention to those micro-expressions, those fleeting moments that pass by in a blink, you begin to see people for who they really are. And that's where the magic happens. You start connecting with them on a whole new level. And suddenly, the world around you feels more real, more honest, and more open. It's the key to understanding not just the people in your life, but to understanding yourself too. Because when you see the truth in others, you start to recognize it in yourself. And that is something worth paying attention to. You know, we live in a world where we're constantly rushing. We're always on the go, always moving from one thing to the next, always trying to get more done in less time. But in all that chaos, there's this one powerful, simple tool you can use to unlock deeper conversations and get to the heart of what someone is truly thinking. And it costs nothing except a little bit of patience. It's called the 3-second rule. Here's the thing, we're all wired to fill silences. It's uncomfortable, right? When there's a pause in a conversation, we almost feel this pressure to say something, anything, just to keep the flow going. But what if I told you that those silences, those few seconds of uncomfortable quiet, are actually some of the most powerful moments in a conversation? What if I told you that if you just waited a little longer than feels comfortable, you could unlock truths that would otherwise remain hidden? The 3-second rule is about embracing the pause. It's about giving the other person just a little extra time to process their thoughts, to open up, and to speak from a place of honesty rather than responding with automatic words. You see, when you ask someone a question, especially a deep, meaningful question, their initial response is often the safe one, the one that's rehearsed. It's the "I'm fine," the "everything's great," the "I'm just busy." But those aren't the real answers, are they? Those are the answers they think they should give. But when you sit with that pause just for a few more seconds, something magical happens. The mind, in its rush to avoid discomfort, starts to fill the silence, but this time it goes deeper. When you give them the space, they start to dig into their real feelings, their real thoughts, the stuff that's been on their mind. That 3-second delay creates room for vulnerability, for authenticity. And suddenly, the conversation shifts. You've probably experienced this yourself. Think about a time when you were asked a question that made you stop and think. At first, you might have answered quickly, even reflexively. But then, the person asking you just stayed silent, gave you a moment, and you felt this urge to go deeper. Maybe you started to share something you hadn't planned on saying. Maybe you confessed something you'd been holding back. And that's the power of a pause. It makes people feel safe enough to let their guard down and share something real. What's amazing about this technique is how simple it is. You don't need special training, fancy tools, or a deep understanding of psychology. All you need is the willingness to wait, the willingness to trust the silence and let the other person fill it with truth. It's a tool that works in any situation, whether you're having a tough conversation with a loved one, trying to build rapport in a business meeting, or even just catching up with a friend. But the magic of the 3-second rule doesn't stop at the person you're talking to. It's just as powerful for you too. When you pause, you give yourself a moment to really listen. You stop thinking about your next question or response and start focusing on the other person's words. You stop rushing to fill the gaps with your own thoughts and instead open yourself up to the flow of the conversation. You begin to absorb not just the content of what they're saying, but the emotions, the intentions, the nuances behind their words. And that's where connection happens on a deeper level than you might realize. There's another level to this too. When you hold that silence, when you let those few seconds pass, you become the safe space. You show the other person that you're comfortable with the quiet. That you're willing to wait for something real. And when they see that, it builds trust. It makes them feel seen, heard, and valued. It's like saying, you don't have to rush, take your time. I'm listening. That kind of patience is rare these days, but it's also incredibly powerful. So the next time you're in a conversation and you ask someone a meaningful question, try this. Don't rush to fill the silence. Give them a few extra seconds. Watch what happens. You'll be amazed at how much deeper the conversation goes, how much more honest it becomes. The 3-second rule isn't just about waiting. It's about creating space for truth, for authenticity, and for real connection. It's a small shift, but it can transform how you communicate and how you understand the people around you. And let me tell you, when you start using this, you'll never look at conversations the same way again. Have you ever noticed how we can say something, but it's not always the words that tell the story? Sometimes you could listen to a conversation and hear everything that was said, but still walk away feeling like you didn't quite understand the person. It's because we often miss something so important, the tone. It's like the soundtrack to the words, and it's one of the most powerful ways people communicate, even when they're trying to hide something. Think about it for a second. How many times have you heard someone say, "I'm fine," but something in their voice made you instantly question it? Maybe their tone was flat. Maybe it was tense. Or maybe it was just a little too quick, like they were trying to convince themselves as much as they were convincing you. The words don't always match the energy. And that's the thing, tone reveals the truth. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Tone isn't just about how loud or soft someone speaks. It's about the emotions and intentions hidden beneath those words. When someone's voice cracks or shakes, when it's higher than usual, when it's unusually calm or unusually quick, it's a signal. You can tell when they're anxious, when they're avoiding something, when they're trying to keep it together. A person's tone holds all of that. And once you start paying attention to it, you'll realize that it's far more revealing than any carefully chosen phrase. Think of a time when someone told you something with a reassuring tone, but you could tell something was off. They might have said, "Don't worry, everything's okay." But the way they said it made you feel the opposite. You felt that subtle discomfort in their voice. Or maybe it was someone who was excited about something but said it with a tone that made you question if they were truly as happy as they appeared. The tone changes the context completely. And once you're aware of that, you start to understand the unspoken side of conversations. The thing about tone is that it doesn't lie. It's almost impossible to mask the emotions that shape it. You can practice words, you can rehearse answers, you can craft the perfect sentence. But your tone, your voice will always give you away. And that's where the power lies. When you start paying attention to how something is said, rather than just what is said, you open yourself up to a whole new dimension of communication. You begin to hear things in the spaces between the words. You start catching the hesitation, the excitement, the fear, the uncertainty. And this works both ways. It's not just about listening to others. It's also about listening to yourself. When you become aware of your own tone, you can use it to guide your conversations in powerful ways. If you want to build trust with someone, you can lower your voice, slow down your speech, and soften your tone. If you want to make someone feel like they're in the presence of a true listener, change the tone of your voice to reflect empathy, understanding, and openness. People feel that on a deeper level than you realize. Think about the people you felt the most connected to in your life. Chances are it wasn't just the words they said, but how they made you feel when they spoke. A mother's calm, soothing tone when she tells you everything will be okay. A friend's voice full of excitement when they share their good news. A mentor's steady, patient tone when they give you advice. You know exactly what that tone communicates to you. It's about energy. It's about intention. And here's the key. When you learn to really listen to tone, you start to unlock the emotional landscape of the conversation. You're no longer just processing words. You're processing emotions, states of mind, and even unspoken desires or fears. You start to hear the real message, the one they didn't want to say outright, but that their voice lets slip. This is why the best communicators aren't just talking heads. They're in tune with the emotional subtext, the feelings behind the words. They hear the silence in between the phrases. Once you develop this awareness, you start approaching conversations with a completely different mindset. You don't just wait for your turn to speak. You actively listen for tone, for emotion, for nuance, and that makes all the difference. Because it's in those unspoken moments, the hesitation, the excitement, the fear, the anger, that real understanding happens. It's the difference between hearing the words and feeling the meaning. When you tap into the power of tone, you'll never be left guessing about what someone is truly thinking or feeling. You'll hear it all. There's something incredibly powerful about the way we connect with people without saying a word. It's almost like magic. The way two people can meet and in just a few minutes feel like they've known each other forever. No fancy conversation required. No deep discussions. Just a natural, unspoken bond that happens because you're in sync. It's all about the body language and more specifically mirroring. You've probably heard about mirroring before, but have you ever really thought about how powerful it can be when you use it intentionally? Mirroring isn't about copying someone like a parrot. It's about aligning yourself with their energy, syncing with their movements, their posture, their rhythm. It's about making them feel seen and heard in a way that goes beyond words. When you mirror someone, you're essentially saying, I understand you. I get you. And here's the crazy part. They'll feel that before they even consciously realize it, it happens in the blink of an eye. You're sitting across from someone, and without even thinking about it, you both shift your weight at the same time, or maybe you both cross your arms at the same moment. Maybe you notice they start to lean in slightly as you do too. It's this natural dance, this connection that builds trust and comfort between you. When you mirror someone, you're telling them, you're safe with me. I'm in tune with you. We're on the same wavelength. And this is where the real power comes in. Think about the last time you were around someone who just made you feel comfortable. Maybe it was a close friend, or someone you've just met but immediately clicked with. What happened? Chances are you were both subtly mirroring each other's movements, posture, and energy without even realizing it. You were in sync. You felt understood in a way that wasn't about what was said. It was about how you made each other feel. That's the essence of mirroring. Now, here's the cool part. When you start practicing this consciously, you can create that connection on purpose. If you want to build rapport with someone, you don't need to rush into telling them your life story or sharing your deepest thoughts. You don't need to be charming or performative. All you need to do is pay attention to how they're moving, how they're sitting, and how they're speaking, and then subtly align your own movements to match. It sounds simple, but the impact is profound. Mirroring makes the other person feel like they're not alone. It gives them this feeling that, hey, this person gets me. And when people feel understood, they open up. They trust you more. They let their guard down. Suddenly, you've established a connection without doing anything other than being aware of their physical and emotional cues. You've just aligned yourself with them in a way that feels natural and effortless, but the bond it creates is powerful. Think about a time when you were in a conversation with someone and it felt like you were really in sync. Maybe you didn't even say much, but the energy between you just clicked. That's mirroring at work. You weren't trying to impress them. You weren't trying to be anyone you weren't. You were simply meeting them where they were, physically, emotionally, energetically. And that's what people crave. They want to be seen and understood on a deeper level, and mirroring is one of the simplest ways to show them that. But it's not just about mirroring body language. It's also about matching their tone and pace. If someone speaks slowly and thoughtfully, you don't want to rush them. If someone's animated and excited, you can match that energy and engage with them in a way that shows you're as invested as they are. It's not about being a copycat. It's about reflecting their world back to them, showing them that you're in tune with how they feel. And here's the thing. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to connect with people on a genuine level. You stop trying to force relationships or conversations. You stop feeling like you have to constantly do something to make a connection happen. Instead, you let things flow naturally. You become more observant, more present, and more attuned to the people around you. And that, right there, is how you start building relationships that are real, that are rooted in understanding, trust, and mutual respect. So the next time you find yourself talking to someone, pay attention to the little things. Notice their posture, their energy, their movement, and then naturally allow yourself to mirror it. You'll be amazed at how quickly that bond begins to form. You won't need to force it because it will already be happening effortlessly, naturally, and with far more depth than you could ever achieve through words alone. Have you ever had one of those moments where you just knew exactly what someone was feeling, even though they didn't say a word? Maybe it was that subtle shift in their posture, or the way their eyes darted away when you asked them a question. It's like they were giving off this invisible energy that you could feel but not necessarily see. That's the power of intuition, and let me tell you, it's a muscle that every single one of us has the ability to develop if we choose to. It's crazy how much we rely on logic, facts, and words, yet some of the most powerful insights come from that gut feeling we all have. Intuition is that silent voice inside of you, telling you something before you've even processed the information consciously. It's the feeling you get when something's just not right, even when all the outward signs seem fine. And here's the beauty of intuition. It's not just some mystical or abstract concept. It's rooted in your ability to tune into people, It's the art of reading the subtle, often overlooked cues that tell you exactly what someone is thinking or feeling, even when they're not saying it. When you start to rely on your intuition, something magical happens. You stop relying solely on words or actions to understand people. Instead, you become more attuned to the emotional energy they're giving off. It could be the way they pull back slightly in their chair when you talk to them, or how they suddenly become really still when you mention something important. These small, almost invisible cues, they're your intuition speaking, telling you exactly where the person is emotionally and mentally. Now I know this might sound a little out there for some of you, but hear me out. The truth is, we are all constantly giving off signals, sometimes consciously, sometimes not, that our brains are picking up on. Our bodies are constantly reacting to what's going on around us, to the people we're interacting with, and to our own internal thoughts. And while our minds are busy analyzing and processing everything logically, our intuition is quietly absorbing all of those unspoken signals and processing them in ways we don't even realize. When you start trusting your intuition, you'll begin to notice patterns. You'll start picking up on shifts in energy, like when someone goes from being open and engaged to suddenly becoming distant or closed off. You'll start recognizing those tiny shifts in a person's tone or the way their facial expression changes for just a second when they hear something unexpected. It's like you're tuning into the hidden layers of a conversation that most people miss. You start seeing things that aren't said and feeling things that can't be expressed in words. What's amazing about this is that it doesn't just work with people you know well. You can apply this to new interactions too. Think about the last time you met someone for the first time and you instantly felt comfortable, or maybe the opposite, a sense that something wasn't quite right. That was your intuition at work. It's not magic, it's not a coincidence. It's your ability to read the energy around you and understand the emotions of others without them even realizing it. But here's the thing, you won't develop this skill overnight. It takes practice, it takes being present. You have to stop rushing through conversations, stop focusing so much on what you're going to say next, and just be with the person in front of you. When you start paying attention to the silences, to the way their body is moving, to the little shifts in their energy, that's when your intuition kicks in. And the more you listen to it, the sharper it becomes. And here's where the real power lies. When you learn to trust your intuition, you begin to connect with people on a deeper level. You begin to sense when something is wrong, even before they've said anything. You can feel their excitement, their fear, their hesitation, their hope. All of it. You start to see them for who they truly are beyond the surface level. And let me tell you, there's nothing more powerful than that. When you can understand someone in that way, you become someone they want to open up to. You become someone they trust because you understand them on a level that goes beyond words. Now, the best part? This kind of deep connection isn't reserved for just a select few. You have this ability, every single one of you. All it takes is being present, being in tune with the people around you, and allowing your intuition to guide you. The more you practice, the more naturally it comes. You stop doubting yourself and start trusting that quiet voice inside you, guiding you toward deeper understanding and connection. It's the ultimate tool for not just knowing what someone is thinking, but for genuinely connecting with their heart, their soul, and their true self. Final thought. If you master these 6 techniques, you'll never walk into a room confused about what's really happening again. You'll see the truth beneath the surface. And once you can do that, success in business, relationships, and life is no longer a guessing game.